Hi, I'm Vinnie Fisher, the CEO of Fully Accountable, and today we're talking about leaky buckets, how we need to stop those to really win at business. We're talking about autopilot and how to fight against that to really excel in your business, and focus, and how to really fight against opportunities biting at our business.
Hey, I'm Thomas McMahon here with ClickBank. We've got Vinnie Fisher visiting from Fully Accountable. I'm really excited for this one because Vinnie is a longtime ClickBank partner. He's made millions of dollars on our platform, but he's transitioned into what I guess a vendor, right? Which is not a ClickBank vendor like we were discussing earlier, but servicing owners, operators in the direct response e-com space and really making accounting an ROI-able position for people. Cool. So Vinnie, I was hoping you could just start with a little bit about your background and kind of jumping into, I guess, how you got started, maybe with the space, with ClickBank, and then how you kind of moved into Fully Accountable and where you saw that pain point.
Okay, yeah, so I'm a lawyer by training, right? So please don't stop watching because of that subject. But I partnered up with an internet guy and learned the internet and quickly realized I'm actually pretty good at direct response and marketing, and so transitioned into this world. I was in an active vendor role as an advertiser in ClickBank for a number of years. As I transitioned through, I had a really large health supplement company, and we sold that and transitioned out of it. It was during that time that I saw a massive hole in the back office of our company. I didn't know average order value. I didn't know what channels were profitable. I didn't even know if I could pay a certain commission, whether I could afford it or not. And so that's what really started Fully Accountable, and we became the back office to our own businesses, then branched out as we started figuring out doing accounting a different way, and we become tied to helping a business be profitable, not just getting ready for a tax return.
Gotcha. I love that. It seems like every best company or software solution comes from just that internal pain point that you need to solve yourself, and kind of finds your way into that.
Yeah, so we lost a few bucks in the profit margin side, figuring that out. Yeah.
So what are, I guess, looking at like maybe that growing ClickBank client, like what are those common pain points you kind of see that you often help people through, that people should, I guess, be aware of as they watch their own revenue climbing and business growing? Like, what are some of those like sticking points where you kind of help people through, or that you've had to go through yourself?
Yeah, I think it's a really great question, Thomas, in the sense that like a business has a first cycle. You need to get an offer to convert. Right. You got to put every bit of your energy into getting an offer to convert. Dangerously, what could happen is once it's converting, as an entrepreneur, you can get into a kind of a complacent mode where like it's working, so I'll just set it and forget it, and you get in the dangerous lulled mode that's going to last forever. Well, the privilege of having a converting offer is when the hard part starts. Like I always say, getting to 7 figures, even late 6 figures, is easier once an offer is converting. Mm-hmm. It's from there the real stuff starts. Like you have to actually you have to go from offer to operations. You have to have, I believe marketing first, but then team second. You have to start developing the underlying pieces to it. So the problem that I see, it's true not just of our ClickBank partners, they're just representative of the exact same issue, that an entrepreneur actually has to fight the resistance of all these other things and focus on growing the business if it wants to be more than just an offer during its fatigue running out.
Gotcha. It's almost changing the mindset from being like an offer creator to actually building a business to support this money-making machine you've almost started and keeping that humming.
And so the friction going from offer to operations is that as the entrepreneur, I went out to do this offer stuff to not be trapped in a job.
Right.
So I don't want to build the operations around me. And so most people won't even realize subconsciously they're going to be resisting doing that because they don't want to build structure that's going to require them to have a job.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
So if you can find a way to divorce those two, or be okay with the fact that a real business cannot be on autopilot. It actually has to have people working in it.
You have to invest into it, time, resources, money, all that.
7-figure businesses don't just run on their own.
Yeah, exactly.
And so there's this wonderful thing that everyone's in search of this operator. Well, you can grow up that operator. You don't have to just search for the magic one out there.
What are like some of the key positions that you think business, like in this space, in the direct response offer funnel space, what are some of those key first positions you think people need to be looking to hire for or solve for?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think that the first thing that I would be looking for would be someone to take off load. So I think what you have to do as an entrepreneur is like, where are you best positioned? And if you're best positioned at writing copy and converting the offer, then stay there and look at, I wrote a book called The CEO's Mindset, which I'd be happy to give to all of our platinum partners. And in there, I talk about this idea that there's 5 other areas of the business other than the one you're good at. And you need to look quickly at what ones need filled. And typically, there's something that's glaring in your business where most people hire like a secretary or an assistant, but they really need a project manager. They need a project manager of some role. That project manager is kind of like your COO in training.
Okay.
Right,
Gotcha.
they're taking massive load off the running of the business side of it so that you can focus on the marketing. And then from there are services like Fully Accountable that are very outsourceable, that can join your team for way more cost effectiveness than to try to build that internally. So having a hybrid attitude about that, the first position I would go after is that project manager. As a matter of fact, I don't even allow the term secretary or assistant to be used because it's actually the wrong position of that person. That person needs to be the project manager in charge of, we would say the executive project manager in charge of operations.
What I like too is that this isn't just a VA you're hiring to take the small stuff off your plate, which is also often like what I hear is the first hire should be like, oh, get a VA. Or this is like a long-term COO level position, like you were saying, right? This is going to be
and you don't have to give them the title. I believe people should work into a title.
But I like that mindset though, right, where they're going to be taking on a lot to help you focus on what you're good at and build in those processes.
Instead of like, there's a mentality out there that people are getting rid of the kind of the junk work they don't want to do, and they're hiring for those and keeping a bunch of the core things. Well, I only believe you can run one company. I think you should be focused on doing the thing you're the core at and hire other people and train them up and be okay with training them up. I would way rather have someone with the right attitude, with ability to learn, and who is willing to give the right effort than I ever would hire for expertise.
Yeah, we take the same approach here at ClickBank, right? We try to hire for culture and fit, and relationship management almost versus industry knowledge or anything like that.
So our COO, we have a good-sized company now. Our COO was a was a law clerk.
Okay. Yeah.
And now she runs a 70-plus person team with all kinds of moving parts, but we grew up in there, and so she started as a project manager. And so she was in charge of all the operation stuff. And so what are operation things? So if you have a product company, it's fulfillment, it's customer service, it's inventory, it's all the things that go along with making sure the offer has optimization and conversions and all that. And then I'm left free to do things like acquire more customers.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
It does. No. Yeah, you want to focus on your strengths and build up others around it. You can take that off your plate.
But the first range is to fill in core positions. And I always find that there's that control freak problem with the entrepreneur, that it's easier just to do it myself than to have someone else do it. And that problem is you then don't attend to any of the other affairs that a business needs.
Yeah, well, part of it seems like focus too, right? You're not getting distracted with all these other core positions. You can kind of you can hire for those and then focus in on what you're good at.
Well, focus is always the problem with the entrepreneur. Right. We're just given so many opportunities. And so when your offer's converting, one of the worst things that happens is you think you can do that with multiple offers. Yeah. So you take that same attitude into people. You just throw people at stuff, or you throw no people at it. Either one of those are the exact same problem. You either think you're going to do it all yourself, or you hire as many warm bodies as possible. Both result in the same problem. You're either under or overstaffed, not building the infrastructure of your business.
So something I thought that was really interesting about Fully Accountable and what you can build over there is the fact that you can actually claim that you're doubling profit margins for all your clients, and many of those are our clients as well, right? Which blows my mind, right? Because I think the last thing people expect is accounting being a profitable part of your business, right? It's not just, like you were mentioning earlier, not just doing taxes.
Right.
So can you go into some of those details of ways that you're able to find increased profit margin?
Yeah, so I came up with a really fun, I'm a marketer too, so I came up with a little fun thing that just plays out. We call it 5 by 5 by 5. Okay. I say that if you add 5% more revenue and I remove 5% of the costs, that I can increase 5% of the margin at the bottom. I have actually doubled your profit margin by that math.
Wow,
And so
multipliers,
it gets a lot simpler when you look at, so what we do is we take your, we, as a department, we don't worry about, your tax return's the end thing. We run the accounting department as a business. And so we take your profit and loss statement and we check all of the items, payroll, cost of goods, the delivery of the item, merchanting, and all those become an item or a cost center. Well, those get checked, and what you're doing is looking for spots in your leaky bucket.
Right.
So instead of like thinking you have to double sales in order to double your profit margin, you literally most of the time can add about a 5% increase in sales. And if we fix the leaky bucket, we can double your profit margin.
And then you can reinvest that back into more sales.
That's the beautiful part about it, right? So
channels,
other than payroll, the most expensive cost is usually the cost to acquire the customer, right? Or re-engage your customer, which is another hidden cost.
Oh, gotcha.
Well, if we can fight that battle correctly, then we don't need to double your gross revenue. We literally only need to add 5%. And so that's why we can make an audacious claim like double your profit margin, because we're finding the parts of the leaky bucket. Really hard to guess on the leaky bucket if you don't see it.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the big deal.
No, that makes a lot of sense. What are some things that what are some tactical things maybe that the watcher here who's using ClickBank to grow their business, that you've seen other ClickBank clients of yours, what are some tactical things that they can implement that you've seen maybe on like maybe it's a mindset thing, maybe it's how they're using the marketplace, maybe it's how they're handling different things like that?
Well, I would say starting first, because I'm a marketer, I want to go first into this. Everyone claims they split test, and nobody does. Everyone says that's a good idea, and basically less than a couple percentage points of people actually do optimization of their offer.
Right.
If I could get someone to do nothing else but that, I'd say you literally need to every day. So I heard a quote once, and I love it. Optimization is like rent. It's due the next day, right?
Yeah.
And so you shouldn't wake up every day that you have the best headline. You shouldn't wake up every day that they should always be improving their offer. Because if they have that mentality, they're going to bring that into the rest of the business. And so that's a big deal as a marketer, because I'm speaking right to you, Mr. Marketer and Mrs. Marketer. That is huge. From there, I would absolutely be always investing in team. How can I actually help our team empower and do more of it so that it's not all on my shoulders? So the biggest hack is to wake up every day knowing that they don't know as much as you, but you're willing to walk them through it, not because it's going to be easier today, because it's going to be easier tomorrow.
I like that. Yeah, you know the end goal, and you're working towards that. Even
You might not know the end goal. It's okay. Maybe we're guessing.
Yeah.
But you know this, that like if I keep investing in some other people, eventually the tide's going to turn where they're producing more than I am.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so it's a funny dynamic to work yourself out of a job. Because I remember a point where I would break parts of it just so I'd have a job again.
Oh, gotcha.
And so that's part of the dynamic of being a clever entrepreneur is you want to work in your own system, and next thing you know, if you create yourself out of it, you over-tinker.
Yeah, but you essentially have now made a sellable asset as a business in a way versus just an offer, right? You can actually have this.
Entrepreneurs have a desire to be the hero.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah,
And so when you create things and you make things convert and you're either good at writing copy or you have a real good product that people want, either of those scenarios or get you to the same place, you like to be the hero. And so when you remove yourself from that equation, you have to be very careful. You might do things in your business to feed your heroship more than you will to the quality of the business. And I'm massively guilty of that. So I'm always having to fight that issue.
Yeah, so you mentioned that, entrepreneurs have a lot on their plate. They want to be the hero. They want to fix everything, right? But how do they protect themselves from all the distractions? And gosh, I can't remember the term off the top of my head right now, but it's that shiny object syndrome, right?
Yeah.
Where it's they go chasing offer after offer after offer or idea after idea. It's like, what is a way that you have focused yourself in and that other entrepreneurs can kind of dig into?
So, our space, there's a lot of like groupthink. You go to masterminds, you go to these events, and people have all these ideas.
Yeah.
And they're good ideas. And so we take these notes and we go home and we blow up our team with these 6 ideas. And your team walks out of the room going, what do we do? Like, what's our job? And they're massively confused. Well, take that as the backdrop of this discussion and say, all right, what happens in a business when the guy, let's pick on a guy named Vinnie, does that to the business? And so the biggest thing that an entrepreneur has to be worried about is himself or herself. You're the massive moving point and destruction point in your business. So what do I mean by that? There are so many good opportunities for an entrepreneur. I'm convinced that opportunities are the disease that crushes most businesses. And so the only way to fight against that is focus. You have to keep telling yourself, what's the main thing? What's the main thing? What is it we do? Andrew Carnegie made a quote, you gotta be careful about the dribbles of income, the things that add on to your business. And what happens as entrepreneurs, we get caught on to the add-on things. And he said, don't let the opportunities of the dribbles of income destroy your main thing. And so he was speaking at a time where steel, he was dealing with other parts of the line and how he dealt with it. And his main thing was the production and pricing of steel, not oil prices. So he would buy on demand knowing oil prices, but what he didn't do is go buy an oil company. And he didn't go then try to do some refab steel. He stayed within his zone. So bring that back into our space. We get an offer working, which, by the way, is massively hard by itself. Now what we do is we think we can do 5 of those. So we'll go chase 5 offers. Next thing you know, our team is diluted. They're distracted. And by the way, those other 4 offers are good ideas.
Sure.
They're rarely bad ideas. And so I would say that what we've got really good at is our team, our executive team, is good at identifying to me that I've gotten loose. So I would say having somebody in your life who's willing to point out that you're chasing too many opportunities so that you can stay focused on the main thing. It's massively hard to do that alone.
So it's building an accountability within your team.
Yeah, and if you can't, go get another
Yeah.
entrepreneur, get another friend who can
mentorship or something,
somebody
yeah.
I'm in this network in our platinum group. We can find some people who can help do that in that kind of level. But if you could have someone say, okay, explain to me what you do as a business, then why are you doing this? Just sometimes talking it through, you almost talk yourself out of a good idea.
Right.
And I have a motto in the office that says, is that a good idea? And they'll say, yes. Is that going to be a good idea 6 months from now? And they say, okay, yeah. Is it Uber? No. Okay, cool, then let's let it sit.
Gotcha.
Meaning,
Yeah.
there are some unique ideas that require you to jump on it, but most things are not.
Right.
There's rarely new things under the sun. And the problem is, we think we can chase them all. And we think our team can chase them with us. Steve Jobs did a great job on this. We can even take a piece from Apple where he took him and his development team
Right.
and insulated the companies from running from the main thing, from his little testing ideas. And so how can you put things in place in a really lean business? Well, you probably can't, because you can't afford those extra positions, but you can certainly put an accountability in place who's willing to say, does that idea of you chasing that fall in line with your main strategy?
Right.
If not, I would say don't do it, because you lack focus, and usually you become a statistic of not making it because you're too spread out.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
I like that.
And so I would,
Yeah.
it's the one that everyone goes, yeah, that makes total sense. And they go, yeah, that won't be me. And in our space, every guy owns 3 companies.
Right.
Well, I got a little here, and I got a little here, and this is what I do. I got a little here, and I got a little here. And I've come to realize one thing. I'm okay with us owning other things, but you can only really be responsible for running one thing.
Gotcha.
And if you find
Okay.
yourself
Yeah.
running more than one thing, you're massively lying to yourself that all of them are going to work.
Yeah. I think people forget that when you have that one thing that you're focused on, you're still diversifying into many sources of revenue streams, right? It's not just, new offers are sexy to go chase and things like that, but you've got this one offer. Maybe you're using ClickBank for the affiliate channel. Maybe you're using Facebook advertising over here. There's always other channels that you can start leveraging and exploring while driving home that main.
How many times
focus.
have we tried
Yeah.
to go copy someone's offer and
Right.
it doesn't
Yeah.
convert the same as
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
converting? There are so many components to making an offer work. And what worked on the pixelation of their page, and what was optimized, and what was in the copy, all these moving parts. The statistics don't lie. It's a very small percentage of converting offers at work. Gosh, I had a lot of losers to find a winner or two. Well, it's rather arrogant of us to think we can just keep producing offers.
Right.
But it's what we do. We get a converting offer. We think, oh, we'll just have more converting offers. As opposed to thinking about the depth of that offer, we immediately want to create more. And I'll tell you, that is a massive fight that has to happen. We have this regularly with clients and partners where we're helping them, don't get distracted. Stay on here. The numbers are showing you that you shouldn't be doing
Yeah.
that.
Could you go into that a little bit? Because that was something really interesting over breakfast you were talking about, was that how you're helping your clients identify which revenue streams to invest in.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a couple things, right? You should care about your lifetime value, your average order value. These are big deals. Most people have no idea what those are, right? So in the early stage of your bootstrapping your business, you don't have much cash flow, right? So you need to care about the average amount of order you're making and what you're paying to acquire that customer. Because if you aren't keeping some extra cash, you might not be able to go long enough for the lifetime value.
Yeah.
If you have sufficient cash, an LTV, and you can go negative and long,
On the
then,
front end.
yeah, then there might be some value to do that. So assuming those two key indicators are critically important, what I would say, some good fundamental basics of finance, which by the way, is the language of business.
Yeah.
Don't forget, we as entrepreneurs speak the language of revenue. We want more revenue, we want more revenue, we want more revenue. Fundamentals in business speak the language of finance.
Gotcha.
Right? And so one of the good fundamentals of finance is how much of your existing cash can you spend to grow? And one of the things we've learned by watching businesses and helping them is that we say if you're deploying 25% of your capital or your cash back into growth, that that's the maximum you can sustain to grow.
Oh, okay.
If you're spending more than that, then you're probably going to have too much pressure and growth, and you're going to have a massive cash flow problem.
Gotcha. Maybe not now, but
It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
You're
Yeah.
probably bringing enough revenue to not recognize that problem now.
Yeah, that's what we've had to help a lot of clients solve, is that cash flow issue, right? Where they're having big revenue numbers, like you're saying, but all of a sudden the cash flow of going in and out becomes a really big sticking point.
Yeah,
I know
so
that's
one of
what
the
you've
places
helped
that
with.
happens
Yeah.
is twice a year they have to pay a tax bill.
Right.
And twice a year they get wiped out in cash just to kind of redo it all again to get to a tax bill. Now there's other ways to solve that problem, like having an attitude to run your business every month and not for a tax return.
Gotcha.
Close everything, have a daily attitude of your P&L, a weekly attitude of reports tied to your average order value, your life cycle, what cash flow management looks like. Shouldn't wait till the end of the year for a tax return.
Gotcha.
That should happen very regularly. That's where those two worlds of the language of revenue and the language of finance meet. You need an entrepreneur who sees around the corner, who gets customer behavior, who understands how to sell something. But if behind him or her is not an office that is focused on how do we keep more of it and how do we stop holes in the leaky bucket, all you're gonna do is keep repeating that cycle.
Well, it seems like, yeah, if you're doing that on a more regular basis throughout the year, you can also identify where those revenue streams are either rising or falling apart and fix those more actively than letting it run.
Some of your best stories in your platinum partners are just that. Now, have had the privilege of be the company that's helped with some of that, but where we've identified winners and losers, help them drive more winners and not only stop the losers, but execute them out in the middle of the street and get rid of them, has really propelled those companies to be some of your star platinum partners.
So is there like a revenue point or a marker, and I'm sure it depends for any business, but is there a point where someone should probably be looking for a service like yours? Because I assume that, before a certain point, that it's kind of doable yourself a bit, and then at a certain point you hit that friction of that growth and the cash flow and everything like that.
So we only work with e-commerce and digital companies. So obviously that's our entire environment.
Right.
So it's easy to speak to everybody here. But forgetting us for a second, here's the advice I give to a business.
Yeah.
When you're looking at, when you start investing in parts of your business, it's critical to have a converting offer.
Right,
But
that's
once you
first.
have one,
Yeah.
all the real problems start. All the privilege of having a business. Do you know
The
that,
good problems.
well,
if
do
you
you know
will.
that only 6% of companies make it to the 10th year in business?
Right, yeah.
And it's not all because you've sold it or you've exited. It's mostly because of attrition for bad business underlying decisions. And by the way, those numbers are tragically high still at 5 years, 2 years.
Right.
We're still only in the 80 and 70 percentile range.
Yeah.
That extra 15% is endurance. Most of those problems are not actually understanding the life cycle of the business. So I'd say to get in the digital space from 0 to 250,000, and then 500,000 can be a very lean, if not just only you team, where you hire maybe a designer, you have a copywriter do some work for you, you outsource your customer service, and then at some points you get above that 250, and you got things to worry about. Right? And so I would say that, as you get up in the digital e-learning space at 500,000, you better very seriously be caring about your back office, because your leaky bucket is probably unnecessarily giving way more back than it should. So a service like ours, in our space, I don't know another one unless you're working with a mom and pop who's under-resourced. But you would want that in place almost sooner than a lot of other things, so that you can get to the 7-figure mark and above.
Because that'll help you get there faster, essentially, and build in some longevity.
Yeah, I mean, without saying some names of our platinum partners, they're stuck in that $250,000 range until they figured out some of the stuff by real numbers laid out in front of them. One of our success stories is they're an 8-figure business in our platinum partner range, and because of figuring those things out, and I know one of them he's not going to tattoo my name on his back, but he's going to have a real loving discussion about how marketing by the numbers gets a lot of fun once you have the numbers in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I love too, but talking about your split testing, right? A lot of people just focus on the initial offer conversion rate split testing, and they don't look at, to your credit again, like the average order value split testing. Like, what are you doing in the upsell flow? What are you doing with the back end to increase the average order value? A lot of people just focus on the front end customer acquisition without split testing all those bumps and exit pops and upsell flows and things like that, where you can really take a converting and good offer to a really great long-term sustainable offer.
And I would say, to add to that, I agree with you. I believe splitting the front from the back is a 2 testing environment.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But I also would say that you can take a good person who at least knows enough to get some pages live. Yeah. You can take that person and make them in charge of optimization, so that every day they're trying to beat something. That doesn't have to be you. Right. For a very low cost, you can have an optimizer on your team. And I think it's one of the best positions a digital company should have.
I agree. This is a question I get a bit. Like, do you think that person should be comped on beating their controls?
No.
No? Yeah.
And the reason why is it's a slightly creative position. Mm-hmm. And what I've learned by creative people is they're not driven by money.
Okay.
So go ahead and put them in the bonus pool. Do whatever. Like, give them a fair comp. Like, let them get rewards along the way. But most of the guys and gals who are good at it are a little more creative, and they're actually not like, you and I are natural born salesmen, even though we might have come out of biz dev. So dangle the money in front of us. We love it, right? We'll go for it some more. And as the entrepreneurs, they'll dangle by the money. They'll go for it. Someone in this role is like messing with headlines, understanding consumer behavior. Like, it's got like a little bit different bend to him. Well, that person typically is not as money motivated. Once your basic needs are met, your attitude on money changes. So I would just be careful about that. I do think adding rewards are great. Yeah. I mean, I think tying them to like getting a 0.2% lift on it, you get so much. Here's the problem. There's 2 problems. 1, I'm not sure that person is going to respond well to it. 2, if that 0.2% lift, which VWO decided to call me the winner, worked, well, has that actually hurt our AOV or our LTV or some stick to the customer? So now I've incentivized you to increase conversions, and I've hurt the community at the same time. Right. So be careful about what you're incentivizing.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right? Are you incentivizing the offer to have a higher earnings per click, or are you incentivizing less refunds? Like, I don't know what it is. Yeah. Like, you gotta be careful. Like, a lot of times I'm a funnel down guy. I need more eyeballs along the way, so I'm always going to incentivize, get to the next page, get to the next page, get to the next page, because more eyeballs will be on my order form. I've learned that optimizer, with great feedback and appreciation and random gifts and a fair salary, does better than tying them to some comp hits.
And you just keyed on something right there. One of the key on is that I don't think people in this space often look at the refunds and that money being left on the table. Our space in general has a much higher refund rate than any other kind of like e-com or like retail kind of example, right? And you said it before, using your customer service as a revenue generator, not just mitigator in some cases. Have you seen some tactical things that people are doing to turn their customer service into their revenue stream?
Yeah, so I think we have to start with one thing, and it's FTI, failure to implement.
Okay, yeah.
Okay? And so in our space, I think we have to know why the refund rate's a little higher. Most of the time, we're selling knowledge. We're selling education.
Right.
And so that's only one half of the equation of power. The other one's to execute. So what are some things you can do to help them move? So if you can turn a customer service department into an action department where you'll see people do welcome calls.
Right.
Well, what a shame to do a welcome call as a way to just verify the sale. Well, why can't a welcome call be an activation call where you're helping them take a first step?
Right.
Where they may not read the stuff you've given them.
Giving them a dopamine win a little bit.
Yeah, help them win.
Yeah.
Help them take the steps. We were really good at that, right? We were really good at adding an order bump on the phone. Now, let's not get caught up about rules about order bumps and all that. So that aside, you can help your customer take steps. That alone is a massive engagement tool that takes most people buy emotionally.
Right.
If they buy emotionally and they don't do anything of what you've done, they feel guilty. It's like somehow they're embarrassed. So they almost are diminished. They refund for different reasons, it didn't work, or I didn't have time. Or if we do some of the work and help them move, and our customer service department acts that way, you could substantially impact the refund rate, by points.
Right.
And so is it easier to be more profitable by reducing the friction of what you already have, or go get more sales?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a toss-up in some cases.
Not really.
Right?
It's probably easier. It just requires some effort to keep and work on reducing your
improve the
breakage
product,
than it
improve
is
the
to go
customer
get some new
experience,
sales. Because traffic competition is uber expensive,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because everyone's willing to pay a little bit more. Everyone, as a special kind of stupid, spending more money to acquire the traffic. I'll give you a bonus. I'll pay an extra. I'm going to do this. So we'll all race to spend more to acquire the same customer. The ones who spend more effort thinking about how to stop them falling out the back are the ones who really have the better profit margin. So an accounting department, a customer service department, an optimization team are all things that reduce losing the customer out the back.
Right.
At least for longer. They're going to eventually leave.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the nature of cycles of buying.
Yeah, well, it seems
right?
like if you have a customer that's going to be happier in the long run too, they're going to be more likely to buy from you if you have other offers to give them in your whole downline too.
Yeah, they're going to listen to your re-engagement,
Yeah,
and they might trust you and buy stuff from you if you've at least met your
Minimum,
primary promise set to them. But what if you did that and you did some active stuff to help them succeed?
Right.
I'll tell you, when we were running our offers and we'd make that welcome call and we'd say, okay, what is it you need to get started now? And so just a little hack, we found out that our spike of our refunds happened at day 21.
Okay, right.
We just tracked the math.
Yeah.
So what we did on day 18 was call them.
Nice.
How's it going? Carol, have you started you should be in by chapter 2 by now. How's it going? Are you there? Oh my gosh, I'm so busy. Carol, we really want to see you going. So what can we do to help you get going? Because you said you wanted this. This is what you want. Oh, you're right. And you've unwound this guilty apology thing they have to the fault of blaming a third party like the offer. And now they're taking some personal accountability and they're like, oh, you're right, let's get this going. It's kind of re-engage them. Now, you might call that manipulative, like you're trying to buy down your refund rate, and I'm saying it's just human nature that people are just like the gym. They don't keep up going. You're just helping them. And that's what a customer service department can do. And then naturally, things happen. We used to spiff people for upsells. We would never spiff you to save a sale.
Okay. Oh, right. Why?
Why?
Not?
It's the wrong thing. Well, that should be the natural part of it, and the spiff would come on the additionals or the commission.
Right.
Spiffs, we call them,
Yeah,
right?
that's all the same.
Same
Yeah.
thing, right? Right.
So for an entrepreneur who's got a scaled offer, it's converting well and all that, how do you combat that mentality of hey, things are working, let's not break it.
Actually, can I say that better?
Yeah.
How do we combat the set it and forget it laptop lifestyle thing?
Right.
That's really what we mean, right?
Yeah.
I got this offer working, I'm never touching it again.
It's going to make me money forever. Yeah.
Another baby, another deduction. Yeah, how do we fight that?
Yeah.
That is, I think, the epidemic of the digital world, right? Because we want to automate everything. And so good for us, we get an offer converting. Well, that gives you the privilege to go do all the other stuff in business. I'll tell you, I can't tell you how many friends, including myself and clients, who have actually been in a situation of getting a converting offer, which is, by the way, what? Less than 5% of people, it's probably less than 2% get a converting offer. So now you've done massively hard thing. And what you do is you want to have this like freedom lifestyle to live off of your thing. And you're not thinking about like actually spending effort. You know, the massive lie told in this business, if I'm just going to call out a lie, is that a business can be autopilot.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
There isn't such thing. You can be not trapped as an operator. I totally believe that. Do I believe in, you know, Dan Sullivan's a friend. Do I believe in this like self-managed idea of a company? No, I don't. I believe that you don't have to be the manager.
Okay, right.
I believe that you could spend some of your margin to build depth on your team. But if you want to have a lean environment that's just you and a designer and maybe someone to handle customer service calls, fine, great. Well, then don't use language patterns that say you want the opposite of that and are struggling that you're stuck in that. Gotcha. Know it, live it, and love it. But don't also lie to yourself that you think that like you won't have to continue to improve, because the market in a free marketplace, it fixes itself. If you're not caring about your offer, why would the consumer?
That's a great
It
point.
fixes itself. So you should go to a special place of death if in the place of offer worlds, because you're giving it the effort it deserves not to stay alive. And so that's the shame that even I was guilty of. And when the light bulb went on, I'm like, whoa, I don't actually have to be the one to do the work. And as a matter of fact, I don't like to stick around and do the readily replicatable work. I need someone else doing that.
Gotcha.
And when I identify that, I'm less likely to kind of run away from things. Well, I'm still likely to run away from things, but I'm less likely to not have people who aren't going to be identified in it. So this lie in our digital world, the reason why we have 20+% refund rates and all this friction is because of this attitude of set it and forget it.
Right.
And that's not how a consumer wants to be treated. Yeah. I know this. As a buyer, we would never go and buy anything that we want for us personally from somebody like that. We would never buy from us with that. We're too spoiled. So then why are we arrogant enough to think that everyone else is? That, or we're just preying on...
Or they'll be happy with it, you know, long term.
Right. And so I'm okay with like pushing against that and saying, why that actually is a lie. Things don't keep running. There's a reason why, you know, I bet you have numbers. 2 years from now, 80% of the people are not going to be involved who are running their offers.
Yeah.
What's the number? Big, isn't it?
Yeah, it's big. Well, it's funny because I deal with a similar thing, onboarding clients on the ClickBank, right? People are coming on, they're like, oh yeah, all right, like, we'll try it out, we'll see what happens. It's like, if that's mentality, not much is going to happen, right?
It's a backup plan.
Yeah, it's like, we're like, oh yeah, we tried it out ClickBank, it didn't really work. It's like, oh, what'd you do? Oh, we put it in the marketplace.
I'll tell you a fun story. My daughter is musically inclined. She wants to do music, but she actually wants to go to law school. Somehow I made lawyering look good. Someone asked her, what was your backup plan? What do you mean? That's already preceding failure. I actually think that that's systemic of owners who create an offer and then don't work on it. It's kind of like we either have one of two things. We either have this massive resistance in our mind that like we never envisioned we were going to be good at it, or we're so resistant to all the other business items, or asking for help from somebody who understands it, that we just never do any of it. And the shame is, I don't think we maliciously don't want to do it. Since we don't know it, we don't touch it. And we don't ask somebody who does. It's crazy, because we're so self-reliant. Right? So any message out there is like, be your better you, you can do this. Not that I'm hating that message. Right. It feeds into the heartbeat of the entrepreneur kind of figuring it all out by themselves.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's kind of why, because your mastermind is Total CEO, right? I feel like it's a big value add of having a mastermind or attending some of those things where you can get that objective feedback from peers at or above your level to really help you break away from those mindsets, right? And kind of keep pushing forward and not just settling.
Yeah, not stay in your own little bubble, right? Because like each one of us as entrepreneurs, we have a bubble around us of people that are on our payroll. Like, you know, I always joke and say my wife is always dragging me into these circles of friends where like the things they want to talk about are not the things I want to talk about. Well, how do I break away from there and hang out with a group of entrepreneurs? That is so important. And so, you know, our community does a decent job of having masterminds and things like that. So that's a good way to do it. But even get on the phone or do other things like get around some other people who can not only help you think bigger, but smarter. Like thinking bigger about chasing other offers can be destructive. Thinking bigger about having 7 companies off of attending a meeting can be destructive. Sometimes thinking bigger is to have the courage to focus on saying no to things that even if they're good ideas.
Right. Yeah. That's key.
You know?
I love that. So you've been in this space for a while, right? As a offer owner, as a vendor, probably as an affiliate.
Yeah.
Now you're running this
service company.
Yeah, service company with fully accountable.
Which everyone thinks I'm crazy. Why would you open a service company? You get the digital business, like solving a problem.
I love it.
Yeah.
So you've probably seen things come and go. You think things change, they come back. What are you kind of seeing transition right now, going into like 2019 and 2020? Like in this direct response kind of e-com space.
I think as the market gets more efficient, the lack of investing in kind of the value of what you sell is starting to become ever present in our space. So if you're just a quick marketer who's selling on the dream, you're going to have a harder time attracting a customer, because the channels that you do it in are getting squeezed ridiculously hard by lack of value. But I would say it's the same problem we've always had, that people don't think long enough. And so they think real short. They think, what's my commission next week? Like, well, I want to make sure my affiliates are paying the best commission out right now. I don't really care about 2 weeks or a month or an. So if we could stop in this digital automation era of like worrying about results this week. I thank Steve Jobs for the phone, the walking computer.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And at the same time, that immediacy has led to this immediacy. Well, the good news in the digital world is that a way to buy is getting more efficient.
Yeah.
The bad news is that you can game the first few bucks pretty quickly. Okay. You're just not going to be around for a while.
That makes a lot of sense.
And I think I think the market maturity is heading there.
Totally.
But I still think, you have buyers that are diminished. They buy on emotion. Yeah. So you still have that. So I don't think that's going away. So I think there's a reason why you have to set the bait in marketing.
Sure.
But if you don't have something that you're ever progressing on the value side, you're just going to be on this hamster wheel. And I think that...
it's going to be the churn and burn game versus the sustainable...
And so almost everybody who's in the churn and burn game is always looking for something that they're not in the churn and burn about.
Right. That's true, yeah. That's totally true.
So that's where I see it going.
No, that's good.
The churn and burns will churn out, and the people who are doing some value will stay in. New churn and burners will come in, and that's what feeds some of those statistics of the ins and outs.
Right. Well, it seems like the new players come in, they kind of learn a make money technique, right? And they hammer that until they realize, man, I just keep replicating.
And a couple percentage points stay as platinum partners, and the rest fall off. Right, and then we have a new breed come in. A few platinum partners come about, and then fall off. Now, in the cycle of business, I think that's the way it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
So it's actually the dynamics of it. Yeah. And so I would encourage to not be that statistic. I always say, live like no one else, so that you can live like no one else. So invest in the idea of having an operation. Not be so caught up to being stuck to be the operator, and that's something no one else in our space is doing. You do that now, and later on, your business will be here, statistically speaking.
I love that.
Yeah. I love that too. I want that for everybody.
Yeah.
There's only a very small amount of people who will do that.
Yeah, that's true.
I hope everyone listening is although a small amount of people. But one of the things I love what's going on with ClickBank right now is how you guys are like, all right, what are we going to do to 4.0 this?
Right.
Like, how are we going to meet some market demands? And I love the things you're doing to, if everyone could know that ClickBank is a channel that can produce massive returns. Platinum partners, we should not keep this as a secret. We should let other people know, because it's only going to allow the people who are doing it the best to improve. So I just love what you guys are doing. We're going to continue to be an advocate and an ambassador. I love where you guys are going with it now. Your new, you guys at the management team are kind of setting a direction of like, how do we add new enhancements that have been needed for a while? Right. And so that's great. I think and so we're excited for the years to come. We didn't answer that. Like, what's going on in the digital space? I think the fact that you're willing to disrupt some of it is going to lead the march on a little bit of disruption of helping marketers have a little bit of UI interface options and some things that, it's more important to not keep buying condos than it is to change the paint and carpeting of it. And if you guys can offer some of that, which I obviously, as an insider, know some of those things you are, I think it's a great time to aspire to be a platinum partner in this platform.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, and I'm really excited about what's coming down the pipe. So.
And the funny thing is, a platinum partner, if they thought about the idea, this is for you, if you thought about the idea of adding a few more sales and not chasing another avenue, you'd be massively more profitable.
Sure.
And so that's another distraction. Is
the
there's too
80-20
many?
rule, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You know, so many product owners have too many products.
Yeah.
So many digital people have too many books.
Yeah.
So many learning courses have. So many people in this space have too many traffic channels.
Yeah.
They're all true. We need to cut out some of that.
Right, reinvest in what's working. Yeah, I love it. Where can people find out more about Fully Accountable and yourself? I know you've got a few things out there.
So Fully Accountable is our thing, right? So I'm the CEO of it. I've created it. You know, they can find us at fullyaccountable.com.
Yeah.
And we're very accessible. We have a process there. You can find me at vinniefisher.com. That's a way to get in touch with me if you want to talk. And so we run a mastermind. Yeah, we always love to have guests there.
Right.
That's called the Total CEO at totalceo.com.
Nice.
But really, our main thing is Fully Accountable.
Yeah.
And we passionately sit as the back office helping digital entrepreneurs not give it all back.
I like that.
Yeah.
No, it's a big value add. Yeah.
It's hard. I never thought I'd be signing up for something. I was a little better at the set it and forget it stuff,
right.
And but we're doing a lot of really cool things, helping a lot of cool people keep a lot more of the hard-earned money that they set out to
Right.
make, which is really awesome,
Totally.
right? So big value needle, and so I started out in kind of that digital low value space, and I've landed in a high value item, which is really cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
It's going to be fulfilling.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a cocktail party story.
Yeah.
But we're making changes. And you know, that's really is what this is all about. So that's what I love about the Platinum program. Right? Yeah. It's like helping these guys. We figured out if we can help them do more, it's actually probably a better investment of time than it is to take someone from 0 to 1.
Yeah. Big thanks to Vinnie Fisher for coming out from Fully Accountable. If you want to get in touch with him, you can reach out to me or any other of the ClickBank reps that you're working with. They provide a tremendous value to existing partners, and we're definitely going to be utilizing you in the long run for helping our clients be more profitable, which is why people get into this game to begin with. I think it's just an obvious value add to the Platinum Group itself, and it's one reason why we invest in relationships like this so we can explore these kinds of opportunities. I know it's been a year plus in the making kind of thing since we first, I mean, you've obviously been in the ClickBank ecosystem for a long time, but I know we just got connected about a year ago, I think.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. So it's, I'm really pleased that Vinnie made the trip out here. Please hit me up if we can make any introductions for you. And if you found any value in this, please let us know.
It's awesome. It's great. Good job. Hey, listen, our platinum partners, that's one of the strategic advantages you bring. That's why I love that you just said that. So, I mean, that's why it's an advantage to be in the platinum partner. They should be at the summit. They should be taking advantage of these materials. Like, get off the sidelines, do the part. Those are the things that are going to make those businesses better.
Yeah, well, it's investing into those channel relationships, not just from a ClickBank to Fully Accountable perspective, but from any vendor or affiliate or advertiser that's going to. It's relationships that drive this whole business,
That's so
right?
cool.
So this is why we do this, and this is what we're excited to bring to the table.
Love it.
Yeah.